It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman of University of Tulsa women's basketball. And she's here. She's back.
We're back.
Long road trip. My goodness, that one was as excruciating a road trip as you can have. And your team finishes off with a win against Memphis. What a great way to finish it, huh?
Yeah, you know, it's a schedule that was put forth by the conference office, and when it first came out, we did not like it, and we complained, and it didn't do any good, obviously. So we leave on Tuesday morning. We left the arena at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesday, and we went to Hartford, played UConn the next day on Wednesday, bus to Philly that night, almost a 4-hour bus ride, get in like at 1:30 in the morning. So you have that day to recover and prep for Temple on Friday. And then after the Temple game, we actually took money out of our restricted account, took a charter from Philly to Memphis, so we got there that night. So we were able to sleep in a little bit on Saturday, recover Saturday, prep from Memphis, and then had Memphis on Sunday, and then took a charter flight back home. So by the time we're at the airport by 4 o'clock, we have a flight at 5:30, we have a 2.5-hour layover in Houston. So we rolled into the Reynolds Center at about almost midnight Sunday night. So it was a long trip, but you know, when you can finish up with a win the way we did against Memphis, you know, it kind of makes it all, that's what you remember the most. What happened last, and you get the win. It was a hard-fought game, and so at least some good came out of it.
And you and I had talked that maybe you'd rather have the Connecticut game be at the end, and you know where you know you don't have a great chance to win that game, and maybe early on when you're fresh in the trip. But it was the other way around. Connecticut got you early in the trip, but your team was able to recover, which is nice.
Yeah, it was, and not just the playing UConn first from a physical standpoint, but from a prep standpoint. You know, your kids have to know all this information about personnel and what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how we're going to defend on-ball screens and how we're going to defend different things. And then, you know, you play that game, and the next day we're saying, okay, wipe all that out. Now we've got to prep for this, and then we're going to play on-ball screens different in this game, and, you know, we're going to defend a little bit different or whatever. And so then you play that game, and you're just like, okay, wipe all that out, and now 24 hours later, we're going to have another game. So now you have to remember a different set of personnel. But, you know, I thought our kids just stayed tough, and we tried to not focus on the number of days we'd been on the road, not focus on the, you know, how our legs felt. I promise you, on Saturday, we tried to practice at Memphis. It was of no use. I mean, we were dead. It was, so the decision was made, let's get them back to the hotel, because every game we had less than 48 hours, because one game's at 7 p.m., your next game is at 5 p.m., and your next game's at 1 p.m. So you don't even really get a full 48 hours to recover. But again, I thought our kids stayed tough, our kids stayed focused, and that's the only way we were able to come back and win against Memphis. It's just the fight in our kids and the way they stayed focused.
Yeah, and the game against UConn, they obviously did what UConn does, 95-35. So now you try to recover, as you say, kind of erase the chip, so to speak, and get ready for Temple. But Temple played very well against you, right?
Temple did. I mean, and you know, Temple is the number 3 pick in our league preseason. They're real athletic. They return 4 of their 5 starters. They're really fast. They like to run up and down the floor, and so, you know, we don't shoot very well against UConn, and for a reason. I mean, they're a really good defensive team. They don't let many people shoot well against them. And then we go to Temple, and we went through it. It's a 1-point game with about 1:38 to play in the first quarter. We go through the rest of that quarter and all of the second quarter, and we only score 4 points. Every shot was just hitting the front of the rim, and we were getting good shots, but they just wouldn't fall. And so we fell behind in that second quarter, and then that was it. You know, we played kind of even the third quarter, and we actually outscored them in the fourth quarter. But that second quarter, when we could not make a shot, was really our undoing.
Tiara Williams, though, did shoot well for you. 5 for 5 from the field, 13 points to lead you.
She did, and got some rebounds in there. You know, Tiara is still, that knee injury she sustained last year, she still has a lot of scar tissue buildup in that knee, and our trainer literally has to work on her knee every single day and try to force it flat. And when we got off the plane Sunday night, after sitting on the plane, you play a game and then you go sit on the bus and you go to the airport and you're sitting in the airport and you sit on the plane. It's almost a 2-hour flight to Houston. By the time she got off the flight in Houston, her knee was bent and she couldn't straighten it. I mean, she literally could not get it flat again. So they've got a lot to do here in these 2 days of getting her knee straightened out again so that she can play against Cincinnati on Wednesday.
And then, as you mentioned, of course, try to keep them off their feet a little bit on Saturday, get them ready for the Sunday game. And Memphis kind of had the early advantage, but your team finished strong at the end of the first half, took the lead on a big shot, and then second half very competitive, but you win the game.
Yeah, we couldn't make a shot in the first quarter. We go down 10 right off the bat, and so we're thinking, oh, great, But then in the second quarter, we make a little comeback. They hit I got an offensive rebound, hit a shot with 6 seconds to play, and Tiana Reed got the ball and just went down the floor. And timing was really good. She had an awareness of how much time was on the clock, and just kind of let one go right at the top of the key. And when the ball's in the air, the horn goes off and she hits that three, and so now all of a sudden we're up 1 going into halftime.
Yeah, and they had a good third quarter, so Memphis had the lead going into the fourth quarter. And what's remarkable to me is you end up playing 12 quarters during the week on the road, and the best quarter might have been the final quarter against Memphis, right?
It very well might have been. I wouldn't have wanted to play a fourth game in the next 48 hours to see if we kept getting better, but again, it's about the focus of our kids and how hard they fought. And we had some things happen at the end of that Memphis game where we thought we were going to shoot free throws, and then the ruling came down. No, it was a charge instead of a block. And then we thought we had a made basket with less than 2 minutes, and no, it didn't leave her hand in time, so that 2 points got taken away. So some different things happened. At the time, we're clinging to like a 2-point lead, and
right.
I think the last 2.5 minutes took about 30 minutes, with all of the reviewing and all this. But the officials always try to make sure they get it right, and they did. And but we had to get stops at the end. And in that last 2.5, actually in the last 4.5 minutes of the game, we only allowed 1 field goal and 2 free throws by Memphis. So our kids really hung together defensively.
Yeah, I was going to say, no matter what happened through all of that you described, you're playing good defense. I think it was 26% for them in the second half, so that was the key, wasn't it?
It was, and we shot pretty well in the first half against Memphis, I think in the 40s, and then our percentage went down a little bit in the second half. But again, the key was us getting stops, us playing good defense, making sure they weren't scoring, because when you're struggling to score, you can't give up points on the other end, obviously.
And Reed, again, played well for you. It seems like when she goes, you go. 18 points, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc.
Well, we had a meeting. We had several meetings on the road. You're on the road, you have nothing else to do.
Might as well meet, yeah.
Might as well have meetings. So we were, as a team, we were shooting about 42% from the floor in non-conference. Well, when we look at our conference stats, all of our shooting percentages were down. Kelsey Grovey's was down. Tiana Reed's was down. I mean, everybody's shooting percentage was down. So we talked about, how to get rhythm shots within our offense. Making sure we're taking good shots, making sure those shots are in rhythm. And I felt like against Memphis that we really did get good rhythm shots. And when you've been on the road that many days, you don't have legs, and your legs are an important part of shooting. And so by getting a little bit more in a rhythm in our offense, it allowed us to use our legs a little bit more, and I think that helped our shooting percentage a little bit.
Kelsey Grovey ended up with 15 in the game for you, so she shot it a little better. What about Tajay Scales? She gave you some really good defensive minutes, didn't she?
Well, Tajay's a freshman, and she was going against Brianna Wright at Memphis, who's a senior, and a seasoned player, and Brianna Wright has been playing really, really well. And Brianna Wright still gets a double-double, I think 14 points, 11 rebounds, or vice versa. But Tajay had the duty of just going in and guarding Brianna, trying to keep the ball out of her hands as much as possible. And I thought she did a fantastic job. And then, she made a bucket. She gets, I think, 10 rebounds in the game. So, and she just played her butt off and played her heart out. And, I was just really proud of her, especially on that stage, playing against a senior. Just really proud of her effort.
And what it does is it gives you a 3-2 record in the American, keeps you above 500, and now 2 home games coming up. So a good finish to the road trip. You had to be happy getting home.
Yeah, and I think the important part of that conference record, one of those losses is against the number 1 team. The other loss is to the team that's picked preseason number 3. So I think at this point we've probably won the games we were supposed to, and we weren't able to steal any. Like you didn't steal a win against UConn or Temple. So this homestand is real important, with Cincinnati coming in on Wednesday and then Tulane on Saturday. Being at home, Cincinnati was picked below us, Tulane's picked above us. Both of them are games that we should, if we play well, we should have a chance to win. And I think they're both going to be really close games. But at least, again, it gives us a chance. I think the Memphis game gives us some momentum going into the Cincinnati game on Wednesday.
We'll have more in a moment, and we will indeed do a little more of a preview of those 2 games coming up at the Reynolds Center. Tulsa at home this week, and women's basketball back after this.
Our core values form the foundation of the American.
Competitiveness.
Passion. Character.
They show our true colors on and off the court.
Respect.
Accountability. Chasing greatness.
They lead us.
Discipline.
Focus.
Trust.
They are the essence of our identity.
Family. Tradition.
We are the American Athletic Conference.
We're back on Coach's Corner with Matilda Mossman, and Coach, this week it is at home. It's nice to be home, certainly, no doubt about it. But Wednesday against Cincinnati, they're a team 5-10 overall, but certainly dangerous.
They are. We were fortunate to be able to win against them both times last year, but they're a scary team. Alicia Levitt is their senior star, and she missed all of last year with a ruptured Achilles. So their team really suffered without her because she was their leading scorer, she was their leader, but now they have her back, and they have a really good point guard in Anna Owens, who is only a sophomore. So those 2 alone make Cincinnati really a dangerous team.
And then Tulane, it always seems like Tulsa-Tulane is a great battle in women's basketball, and they're a team that's 3-1 right now in the league. So they're one of the teams that you really look at as, hey, this is going to be a battle. We need to get this one.
Yeah, we've had some great games with Tulane over the years, and they're very well coached. They're very fundamental. Their best players right now are freshmen and sophomores. Colby Morgan won the all-freshman team last year. They have a freshman now, Taylor Emery, who's played really well for them. So they just don't beat themselves, and that's the tough part. You're not going to catch them off balance. You're not going to catch them doing things that are out of character for them. You have to play solid against Tulane.
All right, Coach, have a great week, and welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be home.
Head coach Matilda Mossman of the Golden Hurricane. TU Wednesday against Cincinnati. That game starts at 7, and then Saturday it's a 1 o'clock start as Tulsa entertains Tulane. If you can't be at the Reynolds Center, and we certainly want you there, both those games will be on the American Digital Network, and of course, as always, on the radio on Chrome 93.5. That'll wrap it up for Coach's Corner. I'm Bruce Howard. We'll talk to you next week.